welcome to Veterans Corner. Today our guest is Miss Robyn Parrish. She's the community liaison with Oceans Behavioral
Hospital.
There you go. Well, she's here today to share with you information about the services that they provide to veterans and also to the community. So whatever she has to offer, I'm sure it's very vital. So, Miss Robyn, nice to have you on board.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, tell me just what it is you do.
So I work for Oceans, our Broussard specific hospital, but we have multiple locations. We have inpatient, which is acute psychiatric care, as well as detox if needed for the substance abuse. You're looking at, it could be 5 to 14-day stay to get meds, managed correctly by our psychiatrist, as well as participate in group therapy. And we also have outpatient, intensive outpatient, as well as partial hospitalization, which is a more intense outpatient until you can kind of step down. And we service ages 12 all the way to geriatric in our outpatient, and then our inpatient is adults and geriatrics. And we will be opening up a new hospital on the Youngsville Highway, and that'll be inpatient for adolescents 12 to 17 and adults.
Adolescents?
Yes, sir.
Are we in that much trouble?
A little bit.
Well, just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there are we see more adolescents struggle now, and I think everyone kind of has their own opinion as to what is the leading cause. My personal opinion, I think social media plays a big part in our adolescents today, and technology, as well as COVID. I think that, made some changes with our adolescents today. And so you do see a lot more children going into inpatient care and needing that.
But you think that a lot of it has to do with social media?
I think it plays a big part.
A big part, huh?
I think it plays a big part. Environment, too. I think there's a lot of factors, but when we were little, it was, if there was bullying going on at school, when you got home, you didn't have access to the bully anymore. Now you see it's taken home with them, whether it's on their phone, on their computers. The kids never have a minute to escape that.
Well, I do know that when I was younger, going through school, we didn't have bullies, but there were people in our classes that tried to bully people. But back then we did not have social media.
Yep.
We didn't have the computers. All we had was our fist.
Yeah.
we just fought to survive. But overall, though, it's a different culture from what I went through. And to date, because children today are facing problems I never thought ever come close to what I was facing.
Absolutely.
They're growing up quicker.
Way quicker.
And they're getting into problems that they should not really be trying to solve. And a lot of times, I hate to say it, but they don't tell the parents.
Yeah.
And I guess this is where you comes in.
Yes.
And try to help.
Yeah. And so as a liaison, what we can do is we do market a lot. So we do resource fairs. We are out in the community. If ever anyone needs, our biggest goal is to try to skip the ER if we can. So if someone needs inpatient psychiatric treatment, the normal is you have to go to an ER. The doctor there has to PEC you, which is like a physician's executive order to put you in a hospital. If someone is voluntary, they can call me. I can go out and assess them, and I can get them straight from wherever they are to our hospital without having to wait for hours in the ER to get a bed. Okay,
so when you said that when they contact you, that doesn't necessarily apply to children, that applies to adults.
Adults, a lot of times.
I'm saying that children don't really have the number a lot of times.
Correct. And my work number is on my card, and so I always have my phone. And so sometimes they'll get my number from just a family friend they know, or just for my name being out there. So parents will call me about their children, or therapists will call me that have adolescents, and they'll say, hey, I really think they might need inpatient, or they might need, outpatient services as well.
Right.
And so however they can contact me, I can go assess them at their home. I can assess them at a coffee shop, wherever they're comfortable.
Okay, well, it just makes it very easy and convenient for them.
That's the goal.
And if you put them in a safe place where they're willing to open up, it makes your job a little bit easier.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to veterans, what do we do there?
So we do take all insurances. So
Okay.
we take commercial, private, VA, TRICARE, Medicaid, Medicare. We take it all.
Okay.
And so kind of the same process with veterans. They don't have to call the VA to get their doctor to approve them to come in,
You don't?
especially if they're suicidal, right? Or
Okay.
a harm to others, harm to themselves. I don't have time to wait a week to get him into our hospital.
Okay.
I need to meet him and get him straight there. And we will just file through the insurance, and it's kind of like the normal assessment that I would do.
So you really don't, technically speaking, you don't have to go through community care.
Correct.
So you just go, you do it, then you notify community care afterward.
Yep. And yep.
This is suicide prevention, I guess, you're coming
Because
in.
most people that are coming in for inpatient, they are a harm to themselves, a harm to others, or actively hallucinating, paranoia. It's extreme, and so it needs to be inpatient hospitalization.
Okay. I do know that I just had an interview with the person from the VA involved with suicide. What happens with the veterans? The suicide rate is pretty high.
Yes.
Anywhere between 20, maybe about 20 a month or 20 a day or whatever you want to call
Wow.
it, is very high. And I'm hoping that the VA, not the VA, but the veterans
Yeah.
who are in a situation, but more than that, I hope that the family members will get involved,
Yes.
knowing that they can see more, they can see the closer changes in the veteran, and they could call without the veteran even knowing,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then that's another outlet that's available to the veteran that they're not aware of.
Yes.
And I just hope that the family members would get involved,
Yeah.
because a lot of times veterans don't want to admit certain things.
Yeah.
But if they face it, and their family members are telling them, then there's a very good chance they're willing to
Agreed.
go through the services you provide,
Yeah.
and hopefully they will get better. But I think this is for most veterans, because of PTSD, this is a lifelong problem we face.
It is,
Okay.
and I think as if they know that they have support, and like you said, I know a lot of veterans, you kind of taught not to show those emotions and keep it in, or a lot of them have that survivor's guilt if they did go to war, and so feeling guilty that maybe they feel like they don't deserve the care because they survived it, and so just getting it out there that it is, you're not alone, and there are people that can help, and veterans are close to my heart. This,
Yes.
my husband,
Yes.
my
Yes.
dad, it's through
Yes.
my family. So just knowing that there's support there, and you're not having to wait. That's the biggest thing, and knowing that the families have support, because even after they come inpatient, I do stay in touch with some of the families to make sure they're still getting what they need. They're hearing from their loved one in the hospital and
Yes.
things like that, so
Yes.
they don't just feel kind of cut off.
Yeah. Well, something else too is that when you come to the PTSD, it doesn't necessarily have to be service connected.
Correct.
I mean, you're in the service, yes, but you may get sexual harassment. And that's for both male and female.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to say, I just spoke. In fact, I had an interview with a veteran who is a veteran, married to a veteran, and for the first 16 years of her marriage, she was abused by him.
Yeah.
And she did not know where to go, even though she was in the military.
Yeah.
She was afraid to go up the chain of command,
Yep.
and after 16 years, she finally, somebody opened up a door, and she walked through it. So she walked away, and she even wrote 3 books.
Wow.
Trying to share with her experiences,
That's awesome. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, there's more than one type of PTSD out there.
Absolutely.
You know.
And like you said, they're scared to go up that chain of command sometimes because of, is there going to be backlash? Because
Yes.
it does happen, unfortunately. But, also I kind of go back to like the waiting game, So for them, if they're suicidal, homicidal, we can get them in without having to wait
Yeah.
for anything to be processed. Or if they're going through the domestic violence, things like that, we can look into getting them that help that they need.
Do you find that, I'm going to say this, I don't know if it's true or not, but say PTSD, in a family, you have children. I'm sure children have some type of PTSD because they see what's going on with their parents.
Yes.
And they don't know how to deal with it. And a lot of times they blame themselves for being the cause.
Correct.
And what do you do in a situation like that?
So that is when, I like to educate people with your frontal lobe is like your decision-making part of your brain. And so most kids, that is always developing until you're into your early 20s, right? And so it's hard for them to understand what's going on, even as a teenager. Even though they're more developed, they still, that part of their brain is still developing. And so it's still hard for them to understand that they're maybe not the cause of what's going on in the home. And so, just knowing that they can also reach out. We take, like I said, we start at age 12, but there are places, if family members call me, I still have other places that can help if we can't, because there are some hospitals that take them as young as 4, as young as 4.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I understand that they record everything that they see,
yeah.
But at 4 years old, you can have PTSD?
Maybe not PTSD, but
something.
There's some, yep. Unfortunately, some kids go through a lot from birth, It could be their families in addiction. And so,
Well, put it like this. A lot of times, what happens in a family, if one of the family members, the father or the mother, they too don't know that maybe one of them is abusing the child.
Correct.
And the child grows up like that.
Yeah.
And is there a chance that in a situation like that, do you think the child might become an abuser because that's the way he sees life?
Yes.
As far as how he's supposed to live?
Yeah. I always go back, there's a story about two brothers that grew up with an alcoholic father. And so you always have one of the kid will go in one extreme or the other. And so they'll either go in the way of, I never want to be like that person, and completely do the opposite. And then you'll have the other child that will become the abuser, right? And so they've experienced the abuse, and that's what they grew up in. And so they kind of fall into that victim mentality of, this is what happened to me, and this is normal, and this is how I'm going to treat, my family when I'm an adult.
Well, really, it applies to everybody, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because even in my family, okay, it wasn't really abuse, but at some point in time, my 2 sisters felt like our father didn't love them. Well, the thing was, he loved them, but the way he showed his love to them versus me was like night and day.
Yeah.
I was the one that got most of his attention because I was a male. Back then, it was like, talking about male chauvinist. Well, back then, it was really male chauvinist.
Yeah.
But even though he was involved with them, overall, they felt like they were not loved as much as he loved me. And to this day, I can still see effects from my younger sister, okay, where at one point she really did not trust men, did not trust my father, although she was there hugging him and everything, but she didn't like it at arm's length. And my older sister, she finally dealt with it, but they actually say, Greg, how can you do this? How can you be friends with him? I said, understand something. I choose to have a relationship with him.
Right.
At some point in time, you got to make up your mind what kind of relationship you want to have with our father.
Correct.
And towards the end, they kind of they forgave him, but it was now that they're grown ups, it was a different story, But it affected their life.
Absolutely.
I know it did, because in one situation, we were at their home, my family's, my parents' home, and I said we were going to go fishing. Well, my dad said, let's go, Greg. I said, well, all right, gang, let's go. Get your fishing poles. He turned around and said, no, they don't come with us. That's just for us, for you and my grandson here. The point was that as far as his situation is concerned, or culture was that time, the woman stayed in the home.
Yeah.
You were a housemaker. You're not supposed to be doing what they're doing. And really, I got kind of upset. And my wife said, Greg, stop. Just go.
Yeah.
For peace. But it's things like that that
Really
sets
affect.
up a relationship. It's kind of a hard thing to deal with sometimes.
Absolutely.
But for me, as being a veteran, okay, because veterans have obstacles and barriers that's above the everyday normal obstacles everybody face, it's more difficult for us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't understand what we went through. And the thing is that as a veteran, for the rest of our lives, we will live through it.
Yeah.
I've got veterans who've opened up their stories to me when I was a vet rep with the Louisiana Workforce Commission, and you'd be surprised of the stories I've heard. Okay, but they won't tell their parents. I mean, they won't tell their family members what they went through, and their family members are saying, "Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that?"
Yeah.
I'm saying you don't understand what he's going through, and I'm hoping that veterans will reach out to you guys, because you guys offer something that is very vital.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
And we always like to set up a discharge plan too, so when they come to us, even though it's a acute stay and it's, it's more short term, we always make sure they either step down into our outpatient or, if that's not a fit for them, we look into individual therapy or, sometimes it's back to the VA because sometimes the VA can offer individual therapy for free to them. And so whatever that looks like, we always make sure that there's some sort of discharge plan because, 5 to 14 days is not enough. If something's going on, this is something you're going to have to continue to work through.
Well, you find that in today's world, the VA is changing, and I'm very proud of that. They are changing. In a situation like that, though, if you come across a veteran like that, the VA at present that I know of, they're reaching out to outsource to doctors
Yes.
that will help rather than deal with the in-house doctors.
Yes.
That's what's happening to me even right now. I mean, every doctor I see now is outsourced.
Yes.
Okay, which is very good, but it relieves some of the demand on the VA side because even dealing with the outsourced doctors, you got backlog.
Right.
And I'm hoping that, and even that's improving, but it's taking time.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that dealing with guys like yourselves, your company, would give them an opportunity maybe to stay with you. It's like a lot of times they say, do you prefer to stay with them or come to be the VA? Well, if I've already been working with you, they might be
You wanna
willing to stay with you and help you go through it because maybe you guys, they feel a little bit more safer.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's just my way of thinking. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I'm just hoping that you guys take advantage of it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the 14-day stay, okay, are there steps in there, process that you go through one phase, then you go through this next phase, and
Well, it kind of depends on the individual. So 14 days is the longest that someone would be held there. Sometimes it can be up to 72 hours depending on the individual, what they're dealing with, and also our psychiatrist. So throughout the stay, they have their therapist there, so they do groups throughout the day. So they're not just sitting in a room, right? They're doing groups actively. They have art groups, they have substance abuse groups, and we actually just started a yoga therapy on Fridays.
a yoga therapy?
A yoga therapy on Fridays, which is great. You don't hear that a lot in the inpatient.
No,
You really
no.
don't. So our clinical director has just done wonders at that hospital. And so there are phases that you'll be able to see like how they grow if they get on medications, how that helps them kind of feel, if they're in depression or bipolar, whatever that looks like for them. They'll be able to see they have access to our psychiatrist the full time they're there, a medical doctor and nurses. So there's stages to see like when they're ready to discharge and when they're not.
Well, can you determine whether or not a person is bipolar? Because the reason why I'm asking that because one of my family members, he was classified as bipolar,
Yes.
and he went for years, and nobody could convince him that he was. But he finally went to a doctor, and he found out that he was bipolar. But even doing that, I mean, he still kind of rejects it.
Yeah.
accepting the fact that he is bipolar.
Yeah.
But can you determine that while he's in that 14-day stay, maybe?
Our doctor
That
can.
up and he
Yes,
can?
yes. Our doctor will give a diagnosis. Our psychiatrist, I want to
Okay.
say, will give that diagnosis and medicate properly depending on, whatever that diagnosis may be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm finding that's a very serious disease, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Because I watched him for a number of years, and he was high one day and low the next
Yeah.
day, and you couldn't really determine where he was going to be at the following day.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing to say is that, there is hope. It's something that can be, helped. So there's medication, there's therapy, and you don't have to continue to struggle because there's help. And people, I think, like older generations, some veterans are scared to take medications, and I always say, if you had a heart problem, would you take your heart medicine? If you had diabetes, yes. So what makes your brain any different from any other organ in your body?
Well, the thing is that, yes, you can say that we've been kind of programmed.
Yep.
I'm a man,
Yeah.
Men don't cry. Well, I
Yeah.
got news for you. I cry sometimes
Yeah.
because of losses and everything else. So I look upon myself as just being a human being like everybody else.
Exactly.
And if I can help in many ways to help someone, that's what Veterans Corner is here to serve the veteran community. And since I've been doing this, I've never asked for I never solicited for any donations because this has been personal for me. And I'm hoping that the vets out there will take advantage of your program as well as the VA program.
Absolutely.
And anything that we can do to help them go through a normal life per se is good as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
But trying to break that barrier sometimes is very difficult.
Yes.
But to be in the hospital, and like you're saying, that by being in the hospital, you also deal with them with medicines that you give them, and you determine, now once you leave, the medicines that you have determined, will they continue, would it be continued at another doctor, or would another
Correct.
doctor change the medicine?
So
That's a
if-
possibility.
So if they stay with our program and do outpatient, they continue to see the same psychiatrist that they had inpatient. So that
Okay.
will remain the same. If they go back to the VA or any other psychiatrist they may be seeing, that psychiatrist can change meds if they feel they aren't working. But if they feel they're working, they can just continue. So wherever they are discharged to, we get those records there so that they know what medications they were put on, what their diagnosis is, and they knew what happened while they were in inpatient with us.
Yeah, because I do know that as far as with the medicine side, every time I go to my doctors, I don't care which one I go to, they always ask me, "You still taking the same meds?"
Yeah.
Show us your meds. Because they don't want to screw up
Yeah.
and give you something that might harm you.
Correct.
Okay, but everybody's out there is different, and I'm hoping that the VA, not the VA, I'm hoping that the veterans out there will take advantage of this program. I hate to say this, but this interview is coming to a close, and I really appreciate Miss Robyn for being involved with us and getting involved and sharing this information. So all I can say is, guys, take advantage of the program. Thank you. Have a safe day, and God bless the United States.